Greetings everybody. We're looking at Ger40 at this point in time, and as you can see, we are on the weekly chart, and on this particular chart we can see that the market had provided us with a very nice W structure, as you guys can see, which has a neckline more or less at that point. And ideally we want to see price break into the upside of that neckline and then coming back to that neckline to test it. And if it does so, by now you guys know that at this point is where we would look for potential buying opportunities, and that is because whenever we have these structures, right, as I said, ideally we want to see price coming back to the neckline to test it, and at this point is where we would look for those potential buying opportunities, especially if the neckline, which is over here, is also very much in line with one of the key numbers that we have on the Fibonacci retracement tool. So that would add as confluence in as far as looking for potential buying opportunities goes. So I'm just going to add a neckline at this point over here, and just also bear in mind that this neckline that I'm adding is also a very strong level of support, and that is because, guys, if you have a look, we've had at this level over here multiple areas where price rejected even in the past, right? So should price come back again to this level, at this level we will definitely be looking for buying opportunities, and that is because, as I've said, guys, we have this W structure over here, right? And ideally, myself personally, I would love to see price or the market actually push all the way up to around this level over here. Why do I say that level? That is because, guys, if you actually look at the structure, we can see that this W structure actually started over here, and I would love to see the market end at this point more or less in line with that level. Can you guys see that? Right. Anyway, let's proceed. So from here, what I'm going to do is head down to the daily chart. However, before I do so, I just also want to point out that at this point over here, we have a bearish candlestick with a small body and quite a long lower wick, and it's actually a liquidity candlestick, and it tells us that at this level over here there's a lot of money sitting at that point, and that at some point the market needs to head down to grab that money. Similarly, we also have another one at this point, as you guys can see, which is very much similar to this one, in that it too is a liquidity candlestick, and the market indeed needs to head down to this level to grab that liquidity as well, right? But we just don't know exactly when this will happen, but it will happen indeed somewhere in the future, right? Anyway, let's proceed. Let's head down to the daily chart, and here we are on the daily chart. The first thing that I'm going to do in regards to the daily chart is to add my daily channel. Just bear with me, guys, when I do so. Let's have a look. Daily chart, daily channel, more or less, and I would edit in this manner. And just a reminder that we just need to ensure that all of the drawings that we add to our charts are as close to perfection as possible, just to ensure that ultimately when we do execute, our execution is also very much accurate, right? So there we go. We can see that in as far as the daily chart goes, right, we are in an upward trending market, as you guys can see, right? Anyway, let's proceed, guys. So what else do we see, guys, on this chart that we should be paying attention to rather, which is the daily chart of Ger40. Let's have a look, guys. Let's have a look. Another thing that I can see at this point, guys, is that currently, if I can just zoom out, right, the market is actually at a very strong level of resistance. If you look at this area over here, right, let me just zoom in again, right, we can see that we had actually, let me just go back a bit, right, we can see that in the past the market had given us multiple rejections at this level, right, as you guys can see, right, and again, if I were to fast forward, we can also see that at the very same level we've had multiple rejections at that point, right? So what this tells us, guys, is that as much as we are in an upward trending market, we might possibly see price push further down, at least to this level, to test this area over here, which is the neckline of the huge W structure that we spoke about on the weekly chart. And at this point, as I've said, guys, is where we might then look for those potential buying opportunities, right? Remember that. Anyway, let me zoom in a bit and let's have a look at this area. So what do we see, guys, here? So what I see at this point in time is that we had a period where price had been moving sideways somewhat for quite some time, right? The market had been moving sideways, and we can see the last strong, or rather the last three candlesticks have been very strong over here, and they've been bullish candlesticks. And what this tells me is that these three candlesticks are actually a stop hunt, and they are also trying to induce more traders to buy at this point in time. And the reason why this is happening is possibly because, remember guys, if you look at this structure, we can see that we had an M structure over here. However, it failed, right? Nonetheless, we might find actually or see the market create another M structure at this point, right? Hence I say that these three candlesticks, these three bullish candlesticks, are actually a stop hunt, and also to induce traders to keep buying, only for the market to potentially move further down to around this area over here, right? Another thing that is happening is that the market is being, or rather a trap is being set, right? Why do I say so? That is because if you pay close attention to this area over here, we can see that we also have what seems to be a W structure, and this is the first leg of that W structure, and this side is the second leg, right? And you guys by now know that whenever it comes to these W structures, a lot of traders and investors usually buy on the second leg of that structure, and they place their stop losses just below, right? So a lot of stop losses are sitting in and around this area over here, right? Hence I say that this move could be a trap, only for the market to actually, from this level, push further down to grab all of those stop losses that are sitting in and around this area, and possibly push even further down to around this level that I spoke about, which is a very strong level of support and the neckline of that W structure that I spoke about. And as I said, at this point we would look for those buying opportunities, and there is also or rather one of the reasons why I say that at this point we should be buying is because a lot of institutional traders, like banks and insurers and so forth, are actually waiting for the market to reach this level, and at this level they would try to move the market further up, right? So I hope what I'm saying makes sense, guys. Just to repeat that part, the market may be forming an M structure, with the side being the second leg of that M and the side being the first leg. Just remember that, or rather, just keep in mind that if you look at this area over here, actually, let me just actually do this. If you look at this area over here, the second leg has not been confirmed as yet. In order for the second leg to be confirmed, we need at least one candlestick to close as a bearish candlestick. Then we can say that there is confluence in as far as looking for potential selling opportunities goes at that area, right? Having said that, guys, we would need further reasons for why we should be selling at that area. We're not just gonna sell at this area. Should price give us a bearish candlestick, we're gonna look for further reasons for why we should be selling at this point, right? Another thing that is also very much important that you need to pay attention to is the fact that we have this opposing trend line over here, right? And as much as I'm saying that we might potentially see the market push further down from this level, what may also possibly happen is that price may only bounce off of this trend line, only to continue moving further up. So just keep that in the back of your mind, right? And the neckline would be at this level, and there's the neckline, guys, of this M structure, as I've said, right? Anyway, from here what I'm gonna do is head down to the H4 chart. Just bear with me, guys. Let's have a look. H4 chart, let's have a look. Okay, let me just fix my trend line. Just bear with me, guys, while I do so. Let's see. Alright, so that's fine. Yeah, so we can say that more or less this is our time, more or less, right? And just to recap, guys, remember, on the daily chart we spoke about how we have this huge M structure. However, we need confirmation at this point to sell, right? To add to that, remember that I spoke about how this level over here is a very strong level of resistance, and this also adds as confluence that indeed we might potentially see the market push further down, right? Anyway, let's proceed, guys. So what else do we see on the H4 chart that we should be paying attention to? So as much as, guys, the market is in the process of possibly giving us a very nice structure, just keep in mind that we also have the structure over here, which is also an overextended W structure. It's an overextended W structure because the first leg is higher than that second leg, right, which is over here, and we have also a neckline more or less at this point, right? And we might actually see the market push further down to this level, which is more or less in line with this trend line, only for the market again to push further up, right? In fact, let me just actually add a neckline for that structure. Just bear with me, guys, while I do so. Right, so we could say that more or less this area over here is the neckline of this overextended W structure. And as I said, guys, because price is at a very strong level of resistance at this point, might potentially see the market push further down to this level to test it, only to push further up, or to push even further down to this level over here, which is a very strong level of support as well, and the neckline of that bigger W structure that we spoke about on the bigger time frames. Can you guys see that, right? So you just need to keep that in the back of your mind as we move along, right? Anyway, from here, what I'm going to do is head down to the H1 chart. However, before I do so, let me just actually point out that at this point over here, we have that candlestick, which is a bullish candlestick with a small body and quite a long upper wick. And what this tells us, guys, is that it is a candlestick that's carrying a lot of liquidity at the top where it ends or where it starts. Let's say at this level, more or less. There we go, right? There we go. So at that level, we have a lot of money sitting there, and it may happen that before the market actually pushes further down, that we might potentially get a stop hunt all the way up to the top, only to trigger that liquidity and then possibly see the market push further down at least to this level where we have this W structure. And just also bear in mind that this level is also a very strong level of resistance, and that is because we've had multiple rejections at that level as well. I hope you guys can see that, right? Let's try to go to the H1 chart and see if there's anything interest at that point. There's not really much of interest in the H1 chart, but just to close, guys, remember I said that the market is at a very strong level of resistance, and on the lower time frames, in the early hours of the morning, we might see price potentially moving further up to grab all of that liquidity, only to push further down to around this level, which is the neckline of this W structure, and a very strong level of support. And at this point, we might then potentially get a reversal, right? That is it, guys. And as far as my analysis goes, I just hope it makes sense. Just remember to like the content if you indeed like it, and to subscribe to the channel as well, and peace out.